I was a little shocked to hear that the waiting lists for NHS have gone up to 7.5 million people. 250,000 people added recently. Now, the government may want to ascribe that to COVID, to the pandemic, and to the years that we're going to have to take in order to get rid of that backlog. A backlog, by the way, was a medieval term for the piece of hardwood that formed the backlog to your fire. That was the piece of wood that you kept glowing all night long, that you covered with a curfew, a wooden box, so that your fire never really went out day and night. That was part of the law. The backlog that we've got is significant, but if you compare the graph that the BMA very kindly produce before the pandemic and after the pandemic, you'll see that it's already going up before the pandemic, and it would have reached about 6.3 million this year without the pandemic. With the pandemic, it's 5.5 million. So it would have been higher anyway. And our problem is that we don't have the NHS staff. We don't have the support to deal with this. Blaming the pandemic is blaming a blip in the system. Our waiting lists would already have been too high. So we shouldn't be messing around apportioning blame here. We should be getting rid of that waiting list. I can't begin to tell you the number of times that I've spoken to people with cancer who have been put off for scans and who have been promised visits and information by various people, and it never happens, or it doesn't happen when it's expected. They're put off and they're put off and put off. I can tell you from my own experience how anxious one feels with the initial diagnosis, let alone the waiting to have further investigatory surgery or treatment or scans. And this is quite apart from the final decision about what medical route one should follow, chemotherapy, surgery, or whatever. And it's alarming. I'm waiting for a scan at the moment. Will it take place? God knows. And it's wrong. It's fundamentally wrong. When other countries can get it right, and they must also have a COVID backlog, we can't get it right because we didn't have it right before COVID. And we can't blame everything on COVID.